Yeah, I don't know how many times I've got to say it, guys. If you're one of the few people, although according to wargaming statistics, the majority of players actually play some Arty. The majority of players have Arty in the garage, but regardless of how you feel about Arty, I would much rather if I didn't have to play it because I don't find the gameplay particularly interesting. Although I will say, when you're playing Arty, you get more snapshot moments and more awesome moments simply because it's so RNG based. But I don't know how many times I've got to say it. Don't go to the usual Arty spots, and if you do go to the usual Arty spots, don't knock down trees. Ah. Yeah, so playing Arty, the curse of trying to ace every single tank in the game. Hi folks, and welcome to the Ace Tanker for the Lloyd gun carrier, a Tier 2 British artillery, and over the Christmas period, a couple of things happened. One thing is that I was feeling a little bit, sadomasochistic. And, masochistic because I'm playing low tier, and masochistic because I'm playing Arty at low tier, which I absolutely hate. And the other reason I was playing low tier Arty is because the Swedish tanks were introduced over the Christmas period, and I had a lot of platoon mates who were playing lower tier Swedish tanks. And I was looking around for low tier tanks to play, platoon with, and, I've aced most nations, most low tiers, but other than the new Swedish tanks, which I'm basically only got it started on a couple of days ago, and low tier Arty for the Germans, which I didn't ace first time round, and low tier Arty for the British, which I'd never even started. I had very few low tier options. So I decided, I'll buy the Lloyd gun carrier. Maybe I'll start up the British lines. So I paused. I've cancelled my American Arty line because I never like playing too many Arty lines at the same time. I don't like playing Arty particularly much. So yeah, American Arty, you're not going to be seeing it on the channel for quite some time because I've stopped now. I've unlocked the tier 9, but I haven't bought it. I'll wait till I've gotten up to a reasonable level on a few other lines. But as a result, the only Arty line I'm grinding is French. So I decided, I'll buy the British and start going up the British at least to tier 5 or maybe tier 6 to get the FV. But yeah, Lloyd gun carrier is the first of these tanks. So as I say, a little bit sadomasochistic, masochistic because I was playing low tier Arty, and maybe a little bit of sadism because I'm going to be asking you, or if you're still watching, you're going to have to watch the replays of low tier Arty both on upcoming videos for the Germans and other British Arties. So yeah, let's get started with the Lloyd gun carrier, which never actually existed. Well, technically it did exist, but never in production model or never in prototype. What actually happened is the Lloyd Carrier is its correct name. The Lloyd Carrier was one of the most successful, a lot of people say it was an artillery truck, but it was a lot more than an artillery truck. It was built or designed around 1939, started being built in 1939, and basically what it was a vehicle that was designed to have multiple uses. It was fitted with Bren carriers. It was a Bren carrier with the Bren gun, the Bren machine gun. So it was used as maybe an armored car with a Bren gun. It was also used as simply just a personnel carrier. It was used as a artillery truck for two different options, two different things. As an artillery truck, it used to drag artillery into position, so it was basically a tractor, an artillery tractor, and then it also carried ammunition for the artillery that it dragged into position. So it had multiple uses. But around 1939, there was a concept that maybe we should mount a gun on it, and maybe we could turn it into a makeshift artillery piece. But it never got off the ground, and it basically never even made it into blueprints. But what actually did happen was during World War II, troops in the field actually improvised, and they did fit guns on the Lloyd Carrier. So basically there are photos of the the carrier with this particular gun, which is a 13-pounder. There were also photos of the carrier with a 25-pounder, but you know, it was never mass-produced. It was never actually had a gun fitted while in the factory, and there were multiple factories. In 1939, when the carrier was first being built, it was designed by a guy called Lloyd, which is why it's called the Lloyd Carrier. He had his own company, and he built the first 200 of them, and it was very, very successful. So successful, in fact, that the original order of 200 was quickly increased to the point where Lloyd's own company couldn't actually build them quick enough. So the Lloyd Carrier was outsourced. The designs were outsourced to other companies like Woolsey Motors and Ford Motor Company, and probably half a dozen others. And so many were ordered, they were so successful that by the end of World War II, there were basically roughly about 26,000 of these built throughout World War II. So it was a very, very versatile, very, very successful design. But as I say, never was meant to be an Arty, wasn't designed as an Arty, wasn't fitted with guns, never was a production model Arty, although in the field, as I say, there were improvised versions of this tank by the troops themselves that were basically temporary Arty pieces. But yep, there we go, that's the history, and we're just going to get on with the game because we are here on Himmelsdorf. Now, one thing I do, even though I don't like low-tier Arty, because games are over too quickly, you don't have time to do damage, you don't have time to have big games. But one of the things I do like about low-tier Arty, especially low-tier British Arty, is the rate of fire is quite nice. On this Lloyd Carrier, the accuracy is also very, very nice. The rate of fire is about roughly about every 6.5 seconds. You can see that the aim time is not too bad. And on low-tier Arty, you know, city maps aren't as big an issue because a lot of the low-tier Arty have high shell arcs, and they're able to fire over buildings, get shots in positions where they normally wouldn't. The Lloyd Carrier, the Lloyd gun carrier, it has a range of about 500 meters, which is pretty impressive. 500 meters covers pretty much half the map, or most of the map on most of the maps in World of Tanks. As you can see, lovely shots into where people would normally be safe on that corner behind a building, but we're able to take, what was that, a light 6C out. But yeah, I do think that the city maps aren't a big issue for low tier Arty players. Not as big, definitely, as higher tier Arty. And unfortunately we actually hit the building there. Ah, dear. So yeah, that's the nice thing. So this thing has a 500 meter range, nice rate of fire, no splash damage unfortunately, but it does have a decent amount of ammunition, although I did run out of ammunition in at least one game. 42 millimeters of penetration and 165 damage, so it seems to be a very, very decent Arty. And the other thing you're about to see now is because we're being pushed, we're under pressure, we don't have anyone on the 8 line anymore, and I'm just wondering whether or not I should get out of here or whether or not I should risk another shot, and I decide that I'm going to risk another shot and then get out of here. As you can see, the L60, the Panzer II are moving in, so I've got to relocate, and that's one thing that Arty players are very, very bad at doing. It's keeping an eye on the minimap. You see it, you know, you see it at tier 10, let alone tier 2, where you keep an eye on the minimap and you basically make sure that you don't get surrounded, you're not tunnel vision. So I got out of there, plenty of time to get away, and I'm relocating. Our team aren't doing great, it seems to be about a 50-50 game, but the enemy is starting to rack up the kills, and I'm still relocating. You can see we're doing 45 kilometers an hour here. So one of the other things I liked about the Lloyd Carrier was the fact it's got a nice gun arc, and it's also quite maneuverable. So it does have problems. As I say, the penetration is good enough to go through lower tier tanks that you face, but when you come up against tanks with armor, unfortunately you're going to be doing very little damage to them. We take out the STRV, but now it is 5 versus 6. So yeah, if a tank has armor, the gun is rather ineffective against it. And the other issue is the signal range. Low-tier Arty, even the low-tier Arty with very, very nice range of fire, unfortunately they have very, very poor signal range. So you notice, even though tanks are appearing on your kill feed, both friendlies and enemy tanks, but dying on the kill feed, don't quite have a shot over the hip building here. You can't see them on a minimap, so quite often the only time you know that tanks are spotted in low-tier games is when enemy tanks are showing up as dead in the kill feed, or friendly tanks are showing up as dead in the kill feed. But yeah, we're down to 2 versus 5 at the moment, or 3 versus 5, and that was a nice reset. And that's what I mean about not being able to do damage against armored low-tier tanks. So the H-35, only 11 damage. We do manage to reset the cap, and now there's a Panzer 38T. So 3 versus 5 now. Make that 3 versus 4. So that's the cap reset again. And you know, we can shoot over the buildings here into cap, and that's quite nice. Yeah, this H-35, I've got to take him out. He's causing all sorts of problems. He's just killed our T1, so now it's 2 versus 4. We've got this H-35 who's doing a great job keeping this guy spotted. You can see the accuracy, not amazing, even though it's quite good, but thankfully the H-35 didn't need much help taking out the enemy H-35. So now 3 Arty left on the enemy team, and we're going to see our mobility. I'm up to 3 kills, 291 damage. So yeah, I didn't hate this tank. But on a bigger map, as I say, a bigger map, I found the signal range, losing contact. You know, there are possible targets that are within the range of fire for your Arty, but because the signal range is only 350 meters, and your friendly tanks may have very, very poor signal range, very, very poor cruise, you simply don't see the enemy tanks on your minimap. You don't see the friendly tanks on your minimap, and they could be sitting out in the open, well within range of your gun, but you simply can't see them because of the signal range. And that's what I said when I was talking about signal range on a video I did a while ago, was that it really only affects lower tiers. And I think it would be a far, far different game if they basically have the signal range on every single tank and every single radio in the game. So there we go, we're ambushing, we've got the speed, we've got the mobility, but there are 3 Arty, and I know I've been spotted. You can see I don't have 6th sense here, so we've spotted the G Panzer Mark 6, and I'm just hoping that the H-35 can do something about it, but at the moment he's pinned down by a T1 HMC. So I decide that the T1 HMC has isolated himself, so rather than going in to take out that German Arty that knows I'm there, and now knows I'm there again because we've just spotted each other, I'm going to go up, I'm going to see if I can ambush the T1 HMC. So we've gone into shotgun mode, and we're playing as a tank destroyer now. And yeah, H-35 is continuing to advance. Now we're being capped, so now we know where all 3 enemy Arty are. There's 1 enemy Arty in our cap, there's 1 enemy Arty on the 8 line, and there's 1 enemy Arty in their spawn. So they're all isolated, it's just a matter of working together. Although the H-35 is not turning around, it's taking him forever to turn around and deal with the fact we're being capped. So yeah, it looks as if he's still advancing, or he's waiting for shots. I'm not quite sure what he's doing, but yep, now he's finally coming back. So in the meantime, I'm tracking down this T1 HMC, and he's got a good gun arc, I've got a good gun arc, but he thinks he's hidden, and we're just aiming. So I'm staying out of his gun arc. He is just within mine, so we're aiming fully, and we're able to get him with a shot into the side. So we're up to 4 kills. The other T1 HMC is capping. H-35 has reset the cap, so he came back. And I'm kind of waiting for this H-35 to die to that German Arty, but he's able to stop the cap, kill the other T1 HMC. So now just 1 tank left on the enemy team. The H-35 is on 6 kills, so well done to Harry Walton. So 4K games. He's getting there. H-35 is an absolute beast. You're seeing, because I was playing a lot of low-tier games over the Christmas period or the holiday periods, I noticed a lot of M2 lights. I'm getting back into, you know, players playing the M2 lights in platoons and spamming gold with, you know, stat padding players, and a lot of them are driving H-35s as well. H-35 is basically a mouse when it's at tier 2. Very, very heavily armored tank, but anyway, we're moving in. I'm planning to shotgun this guy in the face. He's waiting for me, but I use my speed, get to the side. Now I've got him, and for some reason we hit his gun, and we only do 77 damage, so that was disappointing. So my reload is still very, very good, better than his, but I don't need to reload because the H-35 picks up his 7th kill. So there we go. Finally, a very, very long Tier 2 Arty game. Most of the Tier 2 games I've been playing recently in Tier 1 games have been over in 3 minutes. This one lasted about 8. But it's done, it's dusted, we're out of Tier 2 Arty, we've moved on to the Tier 3, the Lloyd gun carriage. It wasn't a terrible tank. I mean, I liked the rate of fire, I thought the accuracy was okay, even if it has no splash damage. I liked the range of fire, 500 meters, I thought that was great. I liked the maneuverability, I liked the gun arc, a lot of things about this I liked, even though it's low tier Arty. It wasn't a pain to play, it was actually quite fun to play. The only negative for this tank, well, two negatives. One is the lack of penetration meant that against more heavily armored targets, basically you couldn't damage them, or if you very small splash radius. And then the signal range was the biggest issue, believe it or not. On slightly bigger maps, you find even though you've got shots at enemy tanks, you simply can't see them on your minimap because signal ranges are so much more important at low tier than they are at high tier. But yeah, it wasn't terrible. It's done, it's dusted, it's sold. I don't think I'll ever be rebuying it, even though I didn't particularly hate the tank. But it's just another ace out of the way. And 925 XP for the H35. Well played to Harry Walton. 7 kills, really nice XP total. But I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing a lot of H35s and R35s driving around in the low tiers these days. Puppy kicking platoons. But, why not? Why not? The Lloyd gun carriage, yeah, apparently it only took 601 XP to ace. I think that was my 3rd or 4th game in the tank. 448 damage, 4 kills was enough, and I'm not complaining. It's done, it's dusted, and as I say, it's sold. Spotted 1, damage 7, destroyed 4, 56 base, or assistance damage. We got 8 capture points and 56 defense points. Woohoo! Our hit rate was 18 shots fired, 8 hits, 2 splashes, so roughly a 50-50. 50-50 accuracy, but when you're firing out a shot every 6.5 seconds, then the accuracy really doesn't matter that much. If you miss one, you'll hit them 6.5 seconds later, and you'll notice that I made a loss because I was running a premium consumable, which I don't do on very many tanks, but I do on Arty. I've decided that Arty is just too painful to play, at least at higher tiers, without a premium consumable on it. So I've started using premium consumables on my Arty, even though it's something I normally don't do. But yeah, I don't care. I don't care. It's aced, even if I made a loss, and it's sold, and I don't have to worry or talk about the Lloyd gun carriage again. Anyhow, if any of you guys like playing low tier Arty, I hope you enjoyed the game. If you don't like playing low tier Arty, you're probably not watching anymore. But anyhow, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.